Thank you guys for joining us today for another episode of the Ask DK show. I am joined today by Anthony Damian. So I'm such a fan of Anthony. Anthony, you are like my example of how to grow a business. You are one of the brightest, hardest working, nicest people I've ever met in my whole life. And so welcome to the show, Anthony.
Well, thanks a lot, and good morning to your audience, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever your listeners are listening to. So, yeah, thanks for this podcast. Yeah.
Thanks for joining me. And so, Anthony, if I could try and summarize what you do, you are a consummate entrepreneur, you are an ideator, but you're also somebody who can start something, execute it, finish it, implement it, sell it, perfect it, and then move on to the next thing. So, like, if I could summarize your career, you started off in shipping, That's down right. in the bilges, literally working your way up in shipping, and eventually you took the risk and you convinced Moa to join you, and you started your own shipping software company.
That's right.
And which you've grown into the most incredible, intelligent software I've ever conceived of in my life, where you're able to literally, it's just like you're able to, one of your solutions, and you have multiple, is that you're able to, and this is things people don't know about who are not in shipping or maritime. So basically these massive container ships with thousands of containers on them, when they arrive in the port, the containers that they need are easily accessible right then and there to minimize their port time so that they pay less. And That's also right. to tell them when to pull into the port because of docking fees and labor fees and stuff like that. So, and literally this dashboard that you can control all your ships, where they are, when they're getting in, where, and it's all automated and it's driven and underpinned by this incredibly intelligent AI technology. And that's just one of the things that you do. You have like a host of irons in the fire. How would you summarize? How's that for a summary?
Okay, it's a brilliant summary. I think you got it right. And just a quick background, I joined sailing when I was 17 and a half. Landed in Seattle, that's where my first ship was, worked on various different ships for almost 8 years, which included, bulk carriers, oil tankers, containers. And that experience was wonderful because it's a very practical sort of work where it's a field work, where you are, as you just mentioned, from the bilges to a deck officer. So you do everything, right, from your navigation, or maybe a chipping and painting of the decks, or you're opening up some valves, opening up an engine, re-oiling the engine. So you would do all those different types of work. And I think that 8 years of the career at sea prepares you for any eventuality. You go through, the weather conditions, at sea are pretty rough, and it also, prepares you to go through the storm which you will face even in the life. So, you are prepared for any eventuality, and that experience has actually helped to prepare me when I stepped ashore, which was back in 97. And from then onwards, it's been a journey where, we call it landlubbers. Landlubbers are the people who, so we are the old sea dogs, then there are the landlubbers who are there out there. And so I became a landlubber, and the 8 years I did my studies there. I studied in UK for about 2 years, did some work with container shipping companies based in Switzerland, and then I was in Hong Kong. And all these 16 years of experience was tremendous. I mean, this was like one fine day we decided, sitting in Hong Kong in one of the cafe shops, Starbucks. That's where most of the people usually start with. So me and my colleague Mohit, together we decided we will start this company. And 2003, from Hong Kong, we landed up in Chennai, India, and it was the hub for IT development. And from 2003 till 2022, now almost 19 plus years, it's been a tremendous journey of building software. So yes, the career has been from a marine career to that of commercial guy, operations, even the legal, finance, and then heading and building this software company, which is today we have a team of about 700 plus located in 3 or 4 continents, I would say. Yeah, 4 continents. And
Wow.
and we are growing. I think that's something. It's a tremendous journey that we've had. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a little bit too elaborate, but I hope, that's how my journey was being.
And everything that you've done has been underpinned. Well, not everything that you've done, but your recent when you moved into technology and that. When did you learn programming? When did you get into program? Because you can program, right?
Yes. So my first laptop was back in 89, 90. Around that time, it was in Seattle. So computers have been something which I've always been fancy of. Before 89, I've seen these big desktops machines which used to be there with MS-DOS and all that. But 89 was when I first thought I'll get my first laptop, and all my savings as a cadet. Those days we used to get $310 as our monthly salary. So I think I saved enough 6-7 months of salary and decided to buy one of those Texas Instruments laptops or something like that. It was I don't know exactly, and that was like wonderful. And that's where my stint began with programming. So I used to build a lot of programs for the ships, for stability, for navigational distances. I think that was my start for the programming. And then I've been dabbing around with a lot of different programming languages, but never decided to go full into one. But it's been like helter-skelter, or know everything. I'm not a master of any one programming language, but yes, I love programming.
So one thing I want to touch on, because we're going to talk a little bit more about AI and artificial intelligence and that, but I wanted to, what really stands out for me is your deep immersive knowledge of your industry, and that you've built technology to solve the problems that you saw hands-on in the industry when you were working there. And how critical is it that a company really, or a founder or people starting a business started from a space of deep experience, not just shallow surface experience? What are your views?
Yeah, I think it's very important for any new entrepreneur to know the subject matter, what you are going to be starting a business for. So if you decide you need to do you need to have some kind of an experience about that product, whatever you're building. You need to know what is the requirement. Is there a need? Is there the clients, do they want that particular solution? And what's the value for that? For us, I still remember when I realized the value was we were trying to build a system for our company when I was working before 2003. And our company, we were planning to build an internal team of IT team and develop the whole system end to end. And then it just happened that the owner of the company decided to play golf with Larry Ellison, and over $64 million, they decided that, this would be the ERP system we will buy. And they went with Oracle, and I think they couldn't implement it because it was a manufacturing industry process which were trying to be implemented on a service industry. So, you can have different type of technology, but it doesn't mean that it's going to fit into the area that you want to do. So to make a successful product, you need to know your subject pretty well. So even if you don't know pretty well, but at least the base of the subject matter, you need to know. And that helps a lot in building.
I agree. When I was thinking about becoming an entrepreneur literally 11 years ago, well, actually, I was forced to be an entrepreneur because they retrenched me. And I'm so grateful that they did, because I was too afraid to take the leap. But finally, they pushed me up the nest, and I did this little mini course of a month at and the one mentor there, Neil Heinrichsen, I had this, actually my dad had this idea of this plastic thing. It was molded, and I was like, I'm going to make this plastic thing. This is what I'm going to do. And he's like, do you know plastics? I was like, no. He said, have you ever made anything in plastics? I said, no. He said, where are you going to make it? I said, in China. He's like, have you ever made anything in China? No. He said, who are you going to sell it to? I said, retail. He said, have you ever sold anything to retail? I said, no. Then he said, what do you know? And I said, marketing and digital marketing. He said, do that. So I was like, okay, fine, thanks. And I'm so grateful because it's what I know, it's what I'm passionate about. And so yes, I built an agency, and here we are today. But
true that, you don't need to know everything. I mean, we didn't know when we started off also. And when we jumped into the business, and we knew programming, we knew how to develop the product. But did I know my customers? Yes, I was working with my customer sites in the past. So I had we've been working in the container industry, and the viewers or the listeners should know that container industry loses money a lot. So the periods when they lose money are very long, and the periods when they make money are very short, and they make huge money. So 1 year's blip, you need to make money. So you need to understand that customer. So we are working with a customer which is always running short of cash. They have a cash flow problem. So how do you sustain and how do you survive yourself with a customer who's always having a cash flow problems? And that's one big challenge. So you need to know the customer, you need to know your product, and you need to obviously know their needs and requirements, and continuously keep on building new products, and you have to innovate. You can't be, if I build one product, I can't say that, look, I'm happy, it's done, thank you very much. No, you've got to innovate. You've got to keep on improvising on the same product again and again and again, and come up with something which will reduce the amount of time that the people spend on it, automations, or like the way we did with AI and ML related items. So this is basically one of the biggest needs or requirements that any entrepreneur should know about their customers. They should know their product. I think these are the two major things, yes.
I agree. And I think there's something to be said for what I call late onset entrepreneurialism, where you don't start your business way beginning in your career right off the bat, but you actually start it after having first acquired. And obviously there's many different paths, to success and entrepreneurialism. But I'm grateful that I did have those couple of years first working in agencies as a marketing manager all around the world and getting this amazing experience, and then applying that into my business. I think my business did a lot better than if I had, started it first off the bat. And so, similar to you, I think. But one of the things I wanted to chat about to you is, AI, ML, one of the services that you offer, obviously because you're dealing with so much data, is that you saw the need for consulting, where you take people who've got data sources in all different formats, disparate data, as you've taught me, and data in all different formats, in all different systems, and it's coming in from many different streams into this big data lake, and cleaning this up for your customers and then turning it into reports. And so you've created this other business, Sage.ai, and that's got two streams. Got the consulting stream where, bespoke, fix people's data, build custom reports. But then you also created this amazing little software program, where people can themselves upload their data and apply machine learning, artificial intelligence for predictive, prescriptive analytics, business intelligence. So everyone's talking about big data. It's already like old hat and that. But what are the biggest barriers that you see companies to actually applying AI in their businesses and machine learning, using big data properly? What's the big challenge?
Okay. Let's understand how did AI and ML come into picture. Came up around, it's been there since 84, since when actually the AI and deep learning in fact started, but it actually picked up pace in 2000 and onwards. But why did it happen in 2010, in 2011, 12, when it started to really take off? And it was one of the reasons was that the machines, or let's put it this way, the processing capabilities of many machines started to improvise substantially. And there was a lot of data lying all over the place. Now, obviously, as you just mentioned, disparate data. Even for us, when we were doing our business, because we build ERP systems, we build operation systems, we do a lot of commercial data we bring in. So we've had a lot of data for all our clients. And the next question was, okay, we can do a BI and AI, BI with this particular data, business intelligence. You can do your graphs and charts and analysis, etc. However, what is the next step? The next step was, can I do my prediction, or can I predict based on the data? Can I identify from the patterns of the data what is there, whether I can predict what's coming in, or what should I anticipate next? It should happen. So this is something which is predictive analytics has actually started off by around 2010, 11, 12. Now, the biggest challenge, the question was, what is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge that I see when we meet with a lot of customers is, look, I have data, but some of the data is lying in this server, in this format, this database. It's a flat table, it's a text file, it's an Excel, it's all over the place. And when we start working on any of the projects, the biggest challenge is they say, okay, here is the data, and they think they've given us all the data. But then it's very important if we start asking them the right question. What about this type? Oh, this data, I don't have it here. I got to look for somewhere else. Okay, then they bring in that one. Then we look at both of them, join the two, and then we realize that there are more data which is missing. What about bringing in something else like this? So it's a more of a journey where we are querying the customers, get the information, then again querying, then again getting. So information is also not lying in one single place. So this is one of the biggest challenges that we have faced with most of the customers, is that this data is there, but it is lying scattered, and also it's lying in different machines with the different translations, etc. So there's a lot of translation and transformation of the data which needs to be done before even jumping into the journey of the predictive analytics. So I would say 90% of our effort goes in A, getting the data, B, cleaning up this particular data, or merging the different data sets, whatever they have, understanding what the client is trying to look for exactly, and then putting it all together. That takes 90% of the time. The real AI, it takes only 10% of the time, where you do the AI or machine learning, or what we call it predictive analytics. So this is one of the biggest challenge that the industry faces, is the data and the quality of the data.
So is the lemon worth the squeeze? Is it worth all that effort at the end of the day to have these reports? So what is the benefit at the end of the day when customers have done, or you've done this huge exercise in transforming and translating their data, and suddenly you have it all clean and it's in a singular format, and now you build these amazing reports that are like, this is what you have right now, this is what you're going to have in the future. So is it worth the effort?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It depends upon what the question that the client has asked for. Yes, there are instances where after doing all this exercise, then we realize, well, the value has not been that good, but where the value, so think of it like, it's like it's a diamond lying in a mine somewhere, but when you get that one diamond out, the value is huge. So you got to really search for that information, what you are exactly trying to look for. And that's where the value lies. So for example, in your industry, which is your digital marketing, when a customer walks in for digital marketing and says, look, can you help me with the digital marketing? What am I looking for? I'm looking for customers who are good customers with the ability to spend so much. Can I predict those customers? What do I need to know? Well, where they're based, what's their spending capabilities, or what they have been doing in the past, how they have been interacting, what do the competitors do, how they are faring, what is their growth. So putting all this information for a digital marketing team like you definitely, you can get a lot of value, which you can then, give it back to your customers, who would see you as somebody who's actually helped them to grow substantially with the right tool and the right information. So the answer to the question is yes, indeed, it's a substantial value, but it's just that you got to ask the right question. If you don't ask the right question.
So funny. It's so funny you say that, because I have exactly the same. My clients often come on a much smaller scale. They're just looking at their Google Analytics, for example, as a starting point, or their social analytics, and they're overwhelmed by the numbers. And I think this scales up to infinite numbers versus small numbers. I always say to customers, before you look at the numbers, because you're going to be overwhelmed by all this data, before you even open your analytics, write down your questions. Exactly like you said, write down the questions that you want the data to explain to you, or to tell you. Who are my customers? Where are they coming from? What are my most clicked pages? Which are the pages on my website that convert the highest? Which are my social channels that cause customers to convert, which mailers cause customers to convert. This all, write down all your questions, and you can start to sort of clump them together by topic, and then you open the data. So I think it works exactly the same way when you're talking about massive reams of data lakes, the same way. Like, what are your big driving problems? So, but what are some of the ROI case studies that you've seen, people who have cut their costs by, a third? What are we looking at here? How can data help your business when done properly?
Yeah. So it depends from customer to customer, I would say. So think of it like this: a sponge with the water in it. How much can you squeeze the water out from there? It depends upon the type of problem you are looking into. If you can find patterns which nobody has seen, those type of patterns, then a classic case was, I think this is most of the listeners would know that in China, the stock market you can predict the stock market by the price of the pork belly. So you have a correlationship. So it's quite funny, but yes, indeed, for some reason, people feel when they start to make money in the stock markets, they want to spend on certain type of food that they want to do. That's the Chinese culture, probably. That's something which they enjoy. So you see patterns, you see these correlations. Even today we're talking about the world market. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down. We see that in the container industry. It's just crashed just about a month back. The whole rates just started to crash down. And it's going to crash. Well, I can see it's happened. So if you know the right indicators, which tells you beforehand, and that's what we are trying to look for. What is that indicator which could tell us that this is going to happen? We use it for predicting failures in the engine on the ships. If I can know that the vibration of the engine has gone up, or the temperature of the exhaust has shot up, and there are a lot of parameters which would actually tell you beforehand, before an engine is about to shut down. Sailing in congested waters, when you're entering the port or something, you've got these 200 million tons of $200 million worth of ships. And they are quite expensive, So if in case if you're able to predict that failure of an engine is going to happen, you can predict a risk, a potential risk. You can avoid a risk, So it depends upon the value of the problem that you're trying to solve. So it may be some people.
So some companies, as you said in your sponge analogy, are going to have a lot of value because there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of water in the sponge. When you squeeze that, they're going to have a lot of structure coming out, a lot of value. And some are already going to be quite optimized. And when you squeeze them, there's just a drop here and here and there. And I think that is the journey, is that as you become more and more and more and more optimized, you continue because every drop that you can squeeze in value and ROI, adding it back to the bottom line, is an investment in your business. You're shaving off at 1 cent here, but it's millions at the end of the day, or even billions at the end of the day. So I think it just, like you said, just depends on where companies are at in their business.
Yeah, I think it's also a very dynamic. Today we are doing AI and machine learning. That's one part of the business. That's very good. But what we are also doing is now we're bringing in optimizer engines. Now, this is again linear equations, or you can even say mixed integer linear programming. We are bringing that along with the AI, so we can actually do a prediction and see if I mix and match these different predictions which I'm getting for different scenarios. Can I combine all of them together? And in what way should I combine them that I can maximize my profit? So now the machine is taken. The machine is then deciding on using the optimizer to mix and match all these predictions which are coming in from different scenarios. And that's where the world is heading for. They call it prescriptive analytics, where you bring in even the optimizers also into it, where the machines are choosing the combination as you've got to understand, the environment is extremely dynamic. So every time the rates of one particular port pair is changing, another one is increasing, another one is falling, another one is going up. So it's dynamically changing. So you can't, as a human, it's becoming difficult to look at all these thousands of different scenarios and then decide what to do. So having the ability for a machine to then take all of these different parameters and on a weekly basis run and say, okay, what should I do this week? Okay, this is what the best alternative is there for this week. Let's go ahead and do that. Some may be possible, some may not be possible. The ones which are not possible, you exclude them and then work with it. So at the end of the day, machine gives a model and says, look, if you do these combinations, or at least you try to attempt these combinations, you can hit your bottom.
So your advice to a company who hasn't yet started the journey: 1, get your data sorted out; 2, get some basic reporting going, and then every year improve on your reporting. Bring in, like you said, the optimization, the machine learning, the predictive analytics, to start to really just like squeeze value out of the business more and more and more. So how do people get started on the journey? What is the first thing that they need to do?
So it's a long journey. So if you say that this journey is going to last me for, or I'll just, you give me this report or this analysis and that's it. No, that's not how it should be. But many clients say, look, I need this and that's it. My work is done. But it's a continuing journey, because as you just mentioned, first is getting all the data together at one place, then ensuring that they all talk in the same language. One is talking in French, one is talking English. You need to have a translator to make sure that they understand each other. That's what, you need to have common master tables, etc. You need to clean up these data. And then after all this exercise is done, then you start predictive analytics. And even you start with maybe commercial, marketing. Maybe the next one is for operation. Then the next one may be for logistics. You may look for other areas, claims, or your legal side of it. So you've got to bring everything in together into this one big cooking jar, and where you got to put all of them together and then say, okay, how can I get the best dish out of putting all of these together in the cooking jar and bringing out the best taste. So that's where the optimizer comes in. So if you notice, the journey is we start with 1, then we add second, then we add third, then we add fourth, then we add fifth, and we bring all 5 together, and then we look at the best recipe. I mean, it's like, if you do the cooking also, you try to experiment first. You don't like it, okay, fine. You improvise, then improvise. So finally, you get the perfect dish. So I guess AI is also like that. So the clients should not just say, okay, look, I need this, I've done it, thank you very much. It should be a continuous journey. And I think there's a lot to do, and I think there's a lot of value to come out, and we have not even scraped the surface as yet.
I love it. So before we started recording, we were pre-chatting about how I started cleaning up my business with my business partner, Mike, and we've implemented all these amazing reports to be able to have a better idea, because we sell time, you sell time. So how are you using machine learning intelligence in your business? Because you don't necessarily have a data business. You don't have warehouses of data coming in. You have a service business. You sell people. You buy people's time, and you on-sell it. You market up. You add value. You on-sell it, just as I do. How are you using management tools to just improve your business? What are your dashboards and metrics that you look at?
Okay, if you're asking me what my dashboard is, it's been only one dashboard I have. It's a very, 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 very simple dashboard I have, and I don't look at anything else. Word is cash flow. And that's all I need to know. Am I positive cash flow at the end of the month? And is the cash flow growing month on month on month on month? That's my one single dashboard. And the reason why I know this, or at least as a business, why I felt this is very important for every business, because I've seen so many startups. Nobody tells them that one of the most important aspects of the business is cash flow. We started our business I had $2,000 back in 2003. My friend also had $2,000. So we put in $4,000, and we thought we'll start this business, and we were not sure whether we'll be successful or not, but we jumped in. And we got some very large projects at that time with just little investment. And we never asked for venture capital. We never asked any money from any debt or bank or anything. We didn't have any assets to also, mortgage. So it was just at 4,000. So we were not earning anything, and kept on working on. And there were times when, you could see your cash flow is almost going to touch zero. And that's when it almost is close to zero, that's when you get your client who starts to pay you off. And then you start to climb up.
Yeah.
So, and I think for me, the most important dashboard is, as long as your cash keeps on going up and up and up, it's a good, and the second thing, which is most important thing is, and this is also many business people may agree or may not agree, is you got to plan for your cash flow for at least 1 year. And I think we're prepared. 2003, we had decided, because when we went to the bank said, look, you don't have any assets. You don't have any, you're working on contracts, fine, but we don't, finance on contracts. So we had a project for $1 million, but it was a government project, and the government needs EMDs, so-called deposits. And we didn't have deposit for this $100,000, which we had to do. It was $1 million project, actually. And we had to let go this project because we had just $1,000, $2,000 in our pocket, and they were looking at $100,000. So we told them, I said, you give us the money first, then we pay you back your deposits, and all that. So it work like that, in the industry. But that's one lesson we have learned, is you need to have at least 1 year of cash flow with you, because when the times get bad, that's the one which is going to help you. And I've seen this in 2008 when the banks froze. Many companies went belly under. You can see the COVID scenario also. But because you have a very healthy cash flow, you can withstand any tremors, whatever comes your way. And that's one of the most important things for any entrepreneurs. At least that's my feedback. Many would not agree, but what I've seen is the average life of a company is just 13 years. That's what I say. And if you've got to sustain yourself for more than 13 years or so, you've got to have a plan for a bad day. It's like, your own household, you have suddenly one big shop, one big spending. How do you overcome that? So you need to have a cash flow. So my dashboard, as you just said, is very simple, just a simple cash flow statement to know where we are business-wise. And as long as it's growing, I'm happy. If it's not growing, it's not. I got to squeeze here and there to get the cash flow back again,
And if you, your staff are really expensive. You're hiring developers. So if you have, 700 mostly developers sitting there, I don't even want to know what your salary bill is. But I think what's nice is, as an entrepreneur, you grow as your business grows. I remember when, my salary bill, I remember meeting someone who told me that their salary bill was 500,000 Rand a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And like, we're there already now, so as a company, and as a person, I think that's the nice thing about being an entrepreneur. You grow into your size. You grow big as internally. And I always say that your company is as big as you are as a person. So I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast the other day, and one of his guests was saying that, don't think 30, think 300. Don't think 300, think 3,000. Don't think 3,000, think 30,000. And that really challenged my thinking to think bigger. And I don't think that's something that's ever challenged you. Anthony, you are a big thinker.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, if you're starting a business, I think do the business for the love of doing that. You should wake up every day in the morning and you should say, look, I'm excited to do this particular thing. That's what matters. Never chase the money. Let the money chase you. That's the motto I believe is strongly. And so you create a product which you love. Maybe you are, as you said, digital marketing. Maybe you are an art creator. Maybe you are a painting person. Enjoy your work. And I can tell you, people will follow you. People will invest in you. People will buy your product. But all that you need to do is build your beautiful creation and put it for everybody to buy or sell or view it. But the most important thing is have fun. Enjoy your.
So how did you convince your first client to be a client when you didn't have any proven business case?
Oh, that's let's put it this way. We said we will do it for free. So we were doing projects literally for free with many clients at the beginning because they were not sure, how this product will be. So we said, okay, look, I will develop this for you free of cost. And if you see you're happy with the work, then you pay. So all the risk is on me, and there's no risk for you. So many of the clients said, yeah, it was good. And so we did a lot of projects like that at the beginning, literally for free. And I think the first 3 years are a very difficult period. But I think once the client starts to trust you, because even the clients are waiting to see that, look, because I'm investing in a system, what happens if these guys tomorrow they leave or they shut the shop? Then what happens to the system then? So they're also worried. But once you cross the threshold of the 3 years, and that's why, again, I tell all future entrepreneurs that, you need to think of 3 years, how the cash flow for managing those 3 years, and do whatever you can to get the cash flow going at the beginning. But the most important thing is your focus on what your actual product you're going to build. And sometimes you think you're building this product, but actually it's a client which is like a tsunami, which takes you in the direction that he wants or she wants to take you to. So I think that's one of the most important things to keep in mind.
And now you've got some of the biggest names in shipping. Are you exploring outside of shipping, or are you sticking to your knitting and you're going to be just focused on one industry?
I think, Dylan, that's a good question. So we have ventured also into healthcare analytics, and we built our own a low-code/no-code platform called Distill. And this is a product which is to be used by clinical research organizations who do the phase 1, 2, 3, 4 trials for drugs, devices, therapies, etc. And this is a new foray. This is a new area into it. And maybe don't know much about it, but what we have is a good product and a good team. And yes, you've got to experiment and you've got to move into different areas. And there's no fun if there is no new challenge. So once you have covered, you climbed your mountain, you need to look for the next mountain to climb. So this is our new mountain, which is a total different industry that we have ventured into, healthcare and pharma. And that's where we have built the product now, and we are now on the selling part of the journey. So that's where we are now.
Very exciting. So common thread underpinning everything is programming, solving people's problems, simplifying technology, creating intelligent software that makes people's lives easier, better, help people make more money by spending less time doing manual tasks, and let the software work for you. So you don't need as many staff, and the staff that you have can work smarter because they've got the technology there that is literally doing things of 10, 20 people. So Anthony, it's been amazing chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Wonderful, Dylan. It was a pleasant conversation. I think you brought back the memories, of 30 plus years. So thank you very much for this, and you have a nice day.
Thank you so much.